The other day, I brought home a new project. It has a large diesel engine, and I was trying to see if the engine would work or if it was just scrap. But unfortunately, the large 12-volt lead acid battery that was on board was completely dead and would not accept a charge. I first tried using something like this. I have a lot of these. They're lithium batteries that are great for storing solar energy, and I use them on all my solar projects, but they don't have the cold cranking amps. Between the cells, the wiring, and the BMS that are built into these, they really can't crank over an engine when it requires hundreds of amps. So I thought it'd be a fun project to make one that can be double use. So I want to build a new battery that can be used as solar storage like this, but have enough cold cranking amps to start an engine when I need a little jump pack. So let's build one. Here we go. Hi everyone, I'm David. Welcome to my channel where I like doing a lot of renewable energy projects. And I've bought some of these lithium batteries in the past. I've built some in the past, and they're great for energy storage on solar projects, but they don't have a very high amperage discharge. So if you're trying to crank over a large engine, they don't have the cold cranking amps that a starting battery is built for. So I thought it might be fun to build kind of a hybrid battery, something that can do this and be a starting battery when you need it, like the use case that I just had, where I wanted to test the engine, make sure the engine's okay before I go and put a lot of effort into buying new batteries or new parts for it. So I chose these. Now these cells are brand new and I picked them up from Battery Hookup. I'll leave a link in the description below. And if you do decide to use them, I appreciate if you use the affiliate link and the discount code DavidPaz, and that also helps out the channel as well as gives you a discount. These are pretty powerful cells. Even though they're 74 amp hours, I think they can do a 600 amp discharge for 10 seconds and 180 amp discharge continuous. So really high. 600 amps can start over a lot of engines. Now, since they're 3.2 volts nominal per cell, putting 4 cells in series gives you a really nice 12-volt battery, which is just like this one, but we're going to pair it with this BMS from Battery Hookup, and this is their 300 amp BMS. It's it's just a simple BMS that gives you the cell protection and balancing, and cold weather protection, kind of all the things you need, but none of the bells and whistles. It doesn't have a screen. It doesn't have Bluetooth. You can't communicate with it with your phone. So if you're looking for all the smart functions, this is not it. But it's a pretty inexpensive BMS, but gives you 300 amps discharge. So I picked that up as well. And then locally, I also picked up this plastic battery box. I picked it up at an auto parts store, but I'll also leave a link to Amazon for it if you want. And these things should all fit in here really nice. So let's bring the camera around and take a look at these cells. Here's one of the cells. It is lithium iron phosphate, 3.2 volts nominal and 74 amp hours. The stud is captured. Hear that little wiggle in there. So it's not laser welded. And I think these will work really well. When you put 4 lithium iron phosphate cells in series, they come out to a really nice 12.8 volt battery, which is great for 12 volt applications. So these are straight out of the box from Battery Hookup. 3.018, 3.018, 3.017, and 3.018. So all very close to each other. Since they're so close to each other, I'm actually not going to top balance them, which is a method that you can use where you parallel them first, charge them up, and then rearrange them into series. I'm just going to throw them together and see how close they are as we charge the bundle. Remember, the BMS here is going to protect the cells and make sure that we cut off charging if there's any one cell that is too high. This package here is going to be 8 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches, and the whole thing with the studs stands 5 1/8 inch tall. So every other cell needs to be turned. There we go. That way we're going to make a jump from negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive, and then this will be our main positive and our main negative. Some people call it fish paper. It's just an insulating paper with an adhesive on one side. There we go. So now we have just a little bit more insulation gap between the layers. Here's the plastic battery box that I'll be using, but it's a little bit flimsy and the inside has kind of these raised pieces in the middle. So I'm going to cut a piece of plastic that's going to sit inside the box and be a flat surface for the cells to sit down on. So let's get our measurement, and we'll cut that piece of plastic at 7 1/4 by 10 3/4. All right, let's see how well the plastic fits down in there. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that works great. There we go. So this plastic sheet is HDPE. It's the same material that cutting boards are made out of. I just bought it as a sheet good, so there's no texture to it like a cutting board might have. And I cut it to shape, and I added a little round over. So we'll put one on each end. I made it stand tall so that later I can add a layer on top that won't touch the studs. Okay, and then this is capped on tape. It's high temperature tape. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough. Hopefully I do. I want to do 2 layers, one at the top and one at the bottom, but this roll is getting shy on me. Let me see if I have any more of this kicking around. So totally not the right thing to use here. This is a copper bar, and I think this one was 3/4 inch by 1/8 inch thick. Jumpers from one to the next. Let's get our measurements here. If we went to the edge, somewhere around there. Measurement center to center. There we go, and I'm just making rough guesses here. It doesn't have to be super precise. I ordered it. It's been a few more days, so let's cut this tape off and get the right stuff on there, which is the capped on tape. All right, so here's the right stuff, which is capped on tape. It's just got a very high temperature rating. So now I want to secure it to the plastic base and mark it out 1/2 inch thick. So if I line this up on one side, there we go. All right, so now let's flip this over. Okay, put this on. I know you probably can't see it, but it's right there, there. So that worked out good. Okay, we're going to countersink. we go, pinned that. So I would just put the drill bit in that corner so it holds steady, hopefully. All right, now the cells are secured to the base. Okay, so these are my bus bars that I made. So we gotta get some flux on here. Okay, and I got the big iron now, so let's try heating this up. There we go. Now this is our BMS wiring harness. We need to check for the second wire. Okay, and the last one, which I actually numbered these kind of backwards. The number one should have been the negative, which is this one. But I wasn't thinking about that at the time that I numbered them. I was just thinking where they fit best when I dry fit them on the studs. There we go. Okay, that's all of them. So at this point, we're gonna start putting on these. So we have our main positive here, and it goes at that location. So we're gonna need some nuts. I think these were M8 by 1.25 studs. I'm just kind of guesstimating the middle. Nothing wrong with using a little tape to help make sure you don't accidentally hit a wrench on and short it out. You see I'm well above these other nuts, and I also insulated the handle of my ratchet with a piece of heat shrink. I did that years ago, so this one might be a little bit more difficult. I'm going to take it off for right now. Now I can always cut more plastic away, I don't really care. So this is a 14 millimeter. And can I get this one? All right, so I'm probably gonna have to cut that out. So we'll make a cut here. We're gonna put a fuse on the positive bus bar, but this side is gonna need another wire or something coming off. So I'm gonna have to cut a hole. After crimping a little bit, I like to turn it and then finish the crimp. And sometimes that helps keep those little metal wings down to a minimum. There you go. So I did a little bit more cutting on the plastic here so we can get a wrench in on the bolt over on this side, and this is for the negative wire to come up. So this is the wiring harness for the BMS. It's the voltage sense leads. This is how the BMS knows what each cell is reading. Instead of just being able to take the 12 volt reading across here, we can now take the 3.2 volt reading for each cell. That's done with this wiring harness. So to dress it up, I'm going to use this tape. It's Tessa tape. I'll leave a link for it, but it's made for wiring harnesses. And it can tear nice and easy. And I think I can leave it a little bit loose and then tighten it with a wrench after it's in place. Yep. And then down here on this stud, should be able to do the same. Leave it a little bit loose and tighten it after it's in place. And now we'll pass the plastic in place. Yeah, I think that's working. So this is some 3M VHB, I think. Very high bond is what it stands for. Help hold that in place. So somewhere around like that. Now let's tighten these down. There we go. So tip that, slide it into the box. Good. Now we've got that. We can do let's do the negative post. Yeah, so here's the post that I chose to use for this. It's a big 3/8 inch stud on here. Put it in the back. Yeah, so the washer's going a little bit below the cutting board, but I think that's probably okay. All right, well, let's cut that down a little bit. Try another crimp. Okay, yep. So here's a 3/8 inch. So we'll crimp this on. I originally did all these on the floor because it was just easier than trying to maneuver this big crimping tool. 4-gauge wire is good for like 100 amps continuously. This is a very short run, so it'll be fine for, you know, the few seconds that you're trying to start an engine, which again is the point of this project. Okay, let's get that on. So now we'll take this Kapton tape off the positive, now that we're done messing with the negative stuff. And on this side, we're gonna run a fuse. So this is just a A&L fuse. They allow for durations over. So it's not a quick to blow fuse, it's slow to blow. Oh, which is what I figured. Oh, darn. You try to think of everything. You know, it's a puzzle piece, and you know, I try to think through all the little things that I need to do to make this happen. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to cut that out with like a little Dremel tool maybe. There we are. Got a big positive and negative post. This will go on over it like that. Well, the build is done of our hybrid 12-volt battery. Again, our goal here was something that we can use for solar with charging and discharging, but we can also use for starting an engine if we need to. That's different than one like this, where it works great for solar storage, but the BMS inside is not made for starting an engine. So I was kind of trying to do something where we could do both. We've been charging this now for about 4 hours. I would guess we're somewhere between 60–70% state of charge, but I really don't know for sure. And we can put a lid on it if we need to. And then you can have your wires come up to the studs, which is kind of cool. We're going to take this outside now and we're going to try it. So we're going to go start my minivan, which has a 6-cylinder engine. Okay, here we go. Starting the 6-cylinder engine on the lead acid battery. (624 amps). Just putting a little capped on tape on here. Okay, that's on there loose. All right, now that the terminals are insulated with capped on tape, let's check the voltage. And we're checking the voltage on the wires coming from the car. And we've got 0.84 volts. So less than 1 volt, and it is dropping. So that's whatever capacitors are in the computer. So we're simulating a dead battery here, and we're gonna jump start it. So now we're bringing up some jumper cables. So again, we're simulating a completely dead battery. Now this is probably going to start harder because all the power has to flow through the jumper cable. So it's gonna be a hard start, but we're going to see what happens. It says inrush, so we'll clamp that on and let's start the car. It did it! It started up! So let's see what our inrush was. 339 amps. So remember, this BMS is rated for 300, and we went over it and it started. It was a hard start. You could see it took like an extra revolution to get going compared to the last time with the lead acid battery, but it worked. Yeah, so we're currently charging at 15 amps going in. 13.4. Let's see what our voltage is over here on the car. (13.6). So we have 13.4 here and 13.6 at the car. So we're losing 0.2 in the line, in the jumper cables. Well, that worked great. Exactly what I wanted. It started the car. We even went over the BMS rating a little bit, and it didn't shut off. It's still on. It was charging back to the battery. So it all worked. That's exactly what I wanted from this battery. So now I can use this in 2 different applications. I could use it in a solar battery storage for portable power, but also for jump starting a car, jump starting a car is something I couldn't do with my other solar batteries. I bought most of these things from Battery Hookup. I am in the affiliate program, so if you buy anything through them, please use the discount code, which is DavidPaz. That will help you out with a discount, also helps this channel out by tracking the affiliate program. Thank you all so much for watching. Check the description for links to everything that I used. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.